All right. And so here we are at another edition of Perspective Shift, which is my Wednesday. Well, it's a couple things really. So maybe I should think about how to brand this thing here. All my overlays are disappearing. All right. Hold on a second here. Let's put this on. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little off my game here. Lower third. Nope, not that one. This guy? No. I was not ready for today, clearly. Hey, that works. Live with me. Every Wednesday at 2 p.m. That's true. We are here. We are here. And then this is going to say something wrong. Today, hold on, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Today, we're going to talk about choosing hope anyway. All right. Clearly, I was not ready for today's show like I thought I was. And I think I have a little ticker, right? Where's the ticker? Here it is. Great. Starts over here. Whatever. So today, this is perspective shift, and it's kind of two things, which, as I was saying, maybe I should consider rebranding at some point. But perspective shift, on one hand, is a newsletter that I write every week, and you can see it gets delivered into your inbox. All you gotta do is go to colbymartin.substack.com, which, if you missed that link, it's about to show up again. You're welcome. And you can read all my articles there, and I write about once a week, and it delivers right into your inbox. I'd love to have you subscribe to that if you want to get the things that I'm thinking about and writing about. I kind of do this Venn diagram of the overlap of religion and spirituality and psychology, and so that's Perspective Shift. It started as a weekly newsletter, and then a couple months ago, I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll take these writings that I do, and I'll turn them into a live show of sorts. And so I started pushing this live show to Facebook and now to YouTube, where I now do a reading of the thing that I wrote. And so we kind of have this live show where I read the article that I wrote, because not everybody is able to read or has the time to read, and maybe they prefer this platform. And also this lets people engage, which is kind of fun, as opposed to maybe just leaving a comment on an article, which of course you're always welcome to do as well. Just saying hi to a few more people. Hi, Erica Cox. Oh, it's good to hear from you and see a little icon of you. You look different last time I saw you, but I kind of like the new look. Melissa Meyer from Texas. Sorry, family. No, don't at all be sorry, Texas. You are wonderful. That state's just getting more and more purple as more and more people are sort of moving into this broader awareness of, I don't know, for me, part of the Democratic ticket is this broader awareness of our shared humanity and the importance of seeing each other and caring for one another. So Texas was great yesterday because it just keeps showing this movement towards that direction, which I think is wonderful. Okay. Fred says that you're in Palm Springs this week and would like to visit your church. Well, that's fantastic. So we're not meeting in person still because of COVID. It's just not safe for churches down here to do that. So we're still online, and everybody's welcome to join our church virtually online. Our church is Sojourn Grace Collective, and we live stream our services every Sunday at 11. But this is not that. That's right. We'll say amen. Texas, we'll get you in 2024. How's that sound? Today, for now, I want to finish chewing that ice. Sorry. It was a bad move. I want to read for you and with you the article that I sent out Tuesday of this week, the morning of election day, which was yesterday, obviously, where I reflected on, remember how in 2016, a lot of us had great hope that we would have our first woman president. A lot of us had great hope that our country would not elect a character like Donald J. Trump. And then the election results rolled in, and that hope was just died over the course of the evening. And then that hope has just continued to die for the last 4 years. And so I was thinking about that in the context of yesterday and how it makes a lot of sense for people to maybe not get their hopes up this time around. And I was thinking about how scary and vulnerable the posture of hope is. And I got to thinking about that and how vulnerable, and y'all, this will all come up in the article here. I probably should just get to reading it instead of setting it up. But I got to reflecting on how hope is vulnerable, and vulnerability has this incredible power for connection and healing. And so maybe as scary and as vulnerable as it is, I'm still going to choose to hope. And so that was what I did yesterday, and all through the night and all day today, I've just still been choosing hope, even though it's scary and vulnerable and can lead to some pain. And that's what I want to read about. Mike says, sorry from Georgia. There's no sorries at all. It has been a delight, again, to watch Georgia, to watch Texas, and to see the turnout from people who are moving into a broader platform of respect and compassion and care for all humanity. And then Erica, okay, you'll make an in-person visit soon. Good, because I'd love to see the new look. You look greener in your profile picture than I'm used to. Okay, without any more ado, then I'm going to go ahead and switch to my side-by-side screen so that you can follow along. And this is my article from this week, where, again, you can go to colbymartin.substack.com, read this and my other articles, as well as subscribe, which I encourage you to do. That way these just sort of drop into your inbox on a weekly basis. And this is called, Though It's Scary, Today I'm Choosing Hope. And I wrote this yesterday, but it still applies for today, because yesterday's not over. Yesterday is still happening. And I hit the wrong button, so that's great. Here we go. So this is about the vulnerability of hope, and I hope you enjoy. And feel free to, as you go, to engage and comment and share your thoughts in the comment section. And sometimes I pause and engage with them. Sometimes I wait until the end. But this is about hope. So I write this. Hope is inherently a vulnerable posture to take. To hope is to attach a portion of your emotional well-being into a bucket of possibility, all the while knowing that said bucket might very well remain empty. We say things like, don't get your hopes up, because we fear that crash when that which we hoped for doesn't come to fruition. Baked into hope is a desire for a particular outcome. And even more than that, it's a desire mixed with a sort of expectation. So not only do we want it to happen, we also kind of think it might actually happen. This is what it means to hope. And then if what we hope for fails to materialize, not only are we left with this sense of lack and disappointment because we didn't get what we wanted, we're also left feeling embarrassed and maybe even a bit disgraced for ever having thought that it was a possibility in the first place. Do you know what I mean? And man, who wants to set themselves up for the possibility of disappointment and disgrace? Yeah, hard pass. Like I said, hope, it's inherently vulnerable. And yet, in the Christian tradition at least, hope is one of the three great virtues: faith, hope, and love. St. Paul once wrote, "For in hope we have been saved." Which is an interesting thought, isn't it? That we might experience a type of salvation through this vulnerable posture of hope. To make that even more intriguing, let's take out the word saved, because it has all this loaded Christianese baggage. And let's instead use another word to translate the Greek. So the Greek word here is sozo. And more often than not, it gets translated as saved in the Bible, but I think sometimes that isn't the best way to understand it, certainly not with layers upon layers of baggage on the word. So you can take this Greek word sozo, and instead of translating it saved, you can translate it to be made whole. So then the verse reads like this: "For in hope we have been made whole." That's interesting. So what if this vulnerable posture of hope, like I said a minute ago, this frightening proposition that we might very well end up in a state of disappointment and disgrace, what if it is in and by that sort of posture wherein we find a type of wholeness? In other words, can vulnerability lead to wholeness? My experience in life says 100% yes. So while maybe not directly related to hope, I can say that unequivocally, the more that I've embraced vulnerability in my life, the more whole I have felt. And this paradox, or at least for me, in my mind, it's always registered as a paradoxical equation, has hit me with surprising tenacity and consistency over the past several years. You see, the stories that I've always lived by insisted that being vulnerable, such as exposing myself to failure, or even the possibility of failing, acknowledging my limitations to others, admitting that I have weaknesses, owning up to my mistakes, I don't have those, things like letting others see me in my humanity. I have lived by the stories and the belief that these things would undo me. That if I let others see, or even let myself see, that I wasn't just awesome and amazing all the time, then life would be over. These are the stories that I lived by for most of my life. And yet I'm discovering this rather delightful truth that the more I walk into my shadow parts, the more I am honest with my issues, the less I resist naming and owning my flaws, and the less that I pretend that I've got it all together. I'm discovering that such a posture as these almost always ends in more connection. And this connection with myself, with others, with God, this is like the very definition of wholeness. So it turns out being vulnerable doesn't break me apart like I always assumed. It actually puts me back together. It makes me whole. Or you could say it saves me. So then, back to this idea of hope. It's scary. It's vulnerable. To put our hope in something or someone means that we're putting ourselves in a position to be hurt and disappointed and embarrassed and disgraced. And I totally understand the impulse to avoid these feelings. But my hope is that we'd push past those initial impulses to protect ourselves from disappointment, which totally makes sense. Of course, you would. Can we push past those initial impulses and dare to let ourselves hope again today, yesterday, this whole election process? Can we let ourselves hope that today's elections will put our country on a path toward healing? Hope that the people with the best ideas for how to bring about much needed peace and justice in our country will win their races. Hope that the harm done to so many people as a result of this Trump administration will finally meet its 4 years too late end. Hope that the massive divisions intensified these past few years can begin, even if microscopically, begin to find repair. Hope. That sort of hope. For so many of us, we remember all too well the crashing despair of our hope in 2016. So we vowed, well, we're going to do 2020 differently. We promised to not let the polls fool us. Or the polls, capital P-O-L-E-S. Sorry, that was a little side dig at the president's tweet about the polls, and moving on. We promised to not let the polls fool us this time around. We committed to guarding our hearts tighter and not having too high or maybe any expectations. This is how we sort of swung the pendulum from 2016, the disappointment of that, to 2020. We're going to do it differently this year. We kind of gave up on hope. Or at the very least, we have this low-key version of it that feels safer and less prone to disappointment. And I get it. I really, really get it. And yet, as I was reflecting on that yesterday, I said, but today, tonight, and in the coming days, weeks, months, that it might take to sort all this out, may we still be people that remember that even though this posture of hope is super vulnerable and scary, hope might also be the very path by which we are made whole. For in hope we have been saved. So here's hoping, my friends. So that's what I was thinking about yesterday, and then I've continued thinking about it all day today, is that this idea of hope, which, again, it makes so much sense that we have had a different relationship to hope this time around than in 2016. But I realize that hope, as vulnerable as it is, might still be one of the ways that we find this path towards wholeness. And wholeness is so much of what my life mission is about, both for me and in my work. And so my prayer for us as we continue to even sit in this liminal space today of unknowing, as more votes are counted, and hopefully all votes will count, that we would risk hoping, We wouldn't have this walls up defensive posture where we're afraid to get hurt, so we don't hope anymore, which I get. I totally get it. I understand it. It makes sense. But there's a type of wholeness that comes on the other side of the vulnerable posture of opening ourselves up that I think is worth the risk. So those are my thoughts on hope. If you have anything you want to say in response to it, now would be the time to do so. I've got all your comments here in front of me so I can see. But how were you yesterday? Were you holding on to hope at all? Or were you, again, understandably, like just keeping expectations super low, had this low key sort of not hoping just in case you get hurt again? How are you with all that? Or even how are you today with that? Irma Jean says, I don't tell others when I get my hope up so as to not feel foolish or let others into my needs, even if things let me down that most don't even know. Yeah, I completely understand that impulse to even have an interior experience of hope, because that might be what you feel is the right move on the inside. But then it's even like there's another layer of vulnerability in sharing that with others, because then you have to deal with what that's like when other people know that your hopes didn't get met. So there's all these layers of vulnerability that I think cause us, or maybe not cause, but provide really good reasons and motivations to keep that hope hidden, sometimes even from ourselves. Mercy Morgan says, this hope is brave. Yes, hope is brave. Fred Freeman, aka Massage Works, says that being vulnerable has brought me groundedness, right? Same here. And this is surprising to me because, like I said, I've spent most of my life avoiding vulnerability, fearing that it would undo me. And yet there is this grounding nature to it. Stephen Johnson, thank you. That means a lot. Prayer hands, high five, whatever that emoji means. I use it in both ways. Patty cake. What are we doing now? What's this? I don't know. But thank you, Stephen Johnson. Yes, Mike, remaining calm, even if things do not go the way I hope. I know the sun will rise tomorrow. That it will. What's up, Paulie? It's good to see you, buddy. So if you want to process the election, the results as they keep trickling in, if you want to process what that was like for you yesterday, last night, this morning, I invite you to come back tonight. So my wife and I do this show called The Kate and Colby Show. Super creative title, I know. And it's Wednesday nights live at 7 p.m. Pacific. We have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page that it gets pushed to. And tonight we're going to address the state of the soul address. And we're going to talk about the impact on the soul of this election season in this moment and where we're at with that. And so it's a great chance for Kate and I to talk about some of these issues that impact the soul, as well as engage with you and hold space for you. And we'd love to do that with you and to do that for you. So that's tonight at 7 p.m. We'd love to have you come back. But for now, this is me signing off from my weekly perspective shift. Again, hopefully you have signed up to join my newsletter at colbymartin.substack.com. You can get this perspective shift in your inbox today. I guess that's sort of metaphorically today, meaning as soon as it gets released, it goes into your inbox. And then join me on Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on YouTube and or Facebook. And we will spend time, about 20 minutes together, going through the article. All right. I love you all. I wish you well. And go Biden. If you'd like to sign up to get my weekly newsletter, Perspective Shift, where I examine life through a mixed lens of progressive Christianity, psychology, and spirituality, simply head over to colbymartin.substack.com. Enter your email address and click subscribe. And once you're in, you'll see that all my past articles are here. And don't worry, you don't have to do anything about missing anything, because every new edition of the newsletter goes directly to your inbox. And periodically, I'll hop on to Facebook Live here and do a live reading of a past article. So just make sure that you go to facebook.com/ColbyMartinAuthor, and then if you haven't already, you click this little guy here and you like my page. That way Facebook will say, hey, guess what? Colby's going live. Thanks for tuning in.